Hello, and welcome to the Create a Life You Love podcast. I'm your host, Chantel Cox. My purpose is to empower and lift up others who know in their heart they're meant for more. More joy, more impact, and more passion. If you're ready to make a radical transformation and create a life that you love, then you have come to the right place. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Create a Life You Love video podcast, where we connect with people from all over the world to share tips and strategies to help you on your journey. I'm your host, Chantel Cox. I'm an author, speaker, and transformation neurocoach who helps women experiencing life transitions create a new vision for themselves, reconnect with their passion and purpose, and turn their transition into their triumphant transformation. And I'm super excited to be here today with my friend Nada. She is a trauma-informed Master Neurocoach who helps women to stop people-pleasing and start doing what they love. Hello, Nada. How are you?
Hi, I am good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing just fabulous.
Just the way that you speak, your voice is so soothing. I love it.
Thank you. So those of you listening may have picked up that we are both Master Certified Neurocoaches. So I was blessed to meet Nada in our cohort in our certification program. And so I just love to have other neurocoaches on the podcast to share what they're doing and how they're helping others. And it's just amazing that you're here. Can you please share with us where you're joining us from?
So I am joining you from Paris, France, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. So you have two great women on opposite side of the Atlantic speaking with each other. So I'm really honoring your invitation. I'm very, very much honored to be here, and yeah, just listening and answering.
Awesome. I love it. So glad that you're here with us. So tell us a little bit about your journey, Nada. Like, how have you created a life that you love?
You know what? I created a life that I love, to be honest. I'll be radically honest on this podcast. Well, not that I am not, but we always choose an angle to speak, right? So this time, yeah. Suffering made me choose the things that I wanted, maybe choose to do the things that I wanted to do. And since I was a child, I always had dreams, and I was very much, in my dreams. Yeah, because I had a very clear notion of what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something creative and artistic and all that. The thing is that I grew up, in an environment where girls are not made to take decisions first. Second, you choose jobs that bring you money and take you, to escalate the social ladder. So it's either a doctor, engineer, or business, but not something artistic. So I was very much frustrated because when I said that I wanted to be an actress or pastry chef, it was absolutely not well received in my family. So I was very much suffering around the fact that I could not do the things that I wanted to do because I was a girl and from a culture where the patriarchal culture is quite oppressive. So a lot of frustration made me actually take the direction to free myself first. Knowing that this is true, then actually help women do what they truly love, because we get trapped into the people-pleasing pattern because we're not expressing our feelings. And if you're not expressing your feelings, what is left to express? Other people's expectations, which means that you will be mimicking the feelings of others. So this is like in a nutshell the journey.
Awesome.
Very enriching one though. Huh?
Right. And can you share with us a little bit about where you grew up?
Yeah, I'm originally from Algeria. Both parents are from Algeria, which is a country in north of Africa between Morocco and Tunisia. And I was born in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. In case you don't know, I'm sure that you know what Dubai is, where Dubai is. So Abu Dhabi is just like the emirate just next to it. I was born there and I grew up there until the age of 12. And then my parents moved to Paris. So I speak different languages, and the rest of my life I spent it in France. And this is where I came from. And then I studied, of course. Well, why? Of course, no, people do not study. They get to work after high school. So no, when I finished high school, I did my, I have a diploma in econometrics, which means, math applied on economy. And then I'm graduated from a business school. So my whole career was on marketing in the luxury brands. So I worked as a product manager for brands internationally renowned, such as Cartier, Dior, Celine. So my favorite item is jewelries. So that was my specialties when I was working, but I was so miserable being actually not being myself, shutting down what I like, shutting down my desires, my thinking, my freedom of thinking. And that is coming from actually a childhood trauma. One day I decided, I was so miserable. It's not me deciding, but it's my organism, my whole system could not bear any more pressure without feeling present, actually. So it went down to a depression and I quit my job. And at that time I was already very interested into, how can we say, the ancient medicine, ways to heal myself, and not necessarily with allopathic medicine. Allopathic meaning chemical tabs or whatever. So my spiritual journey started like this, actually, like, who am I if I am not happy with the life that I want? What do I want? What am I made for? What am I meant to be? So I started to ask these questions, and my depression actually freed me from that prison in which I put myself to please others. And I started a new journey.
I love that you were able to use that to just start your journey and then become the amazing woman that you are today. And we're always on a journey. You're going to continue growing and evolving, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's a blessing. I have to say that I remember one time when I was after my depression, right after, I was reading some books around spirituality, non-duality, and who am I, what are we doing here? And I was really praying to have someone who I could go visit and who could tell me more about, what we are, spiritually speaking, but not like woo-woo stuff, like really tell me more about that, and not on a religious way, because I'm Muslim and I rejected that religion fully when I got depressed. Like, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. I'm not going to believe anybody. I am a human being. I deserve to be respected. And I'm not going to listen to the ones who are telling me what to do when it's only serving them and not myself. I'm sounding very angry right now, but this is how I felt at that moment.
Own it.
Thank you. Yeah. So actually my prayers were actually heard, because I discovered my first teacher, spiritual teacher, who was actually in France, but whose master was in India. And I don't know why I am saying this. Oh yeah, I remember a woman. I was in a satsang. What you call satsang is a sitting with the master, and you ask a question, and it's and the master answers back. But the answer is truth, is not his opinion, or he's not a coach. It's truth speaking. So I remember a woman saying, describing herself as a woman, as a person who is depressed. And I remember his reaction was, "It's a very good news." And that was the first time that I heard somebody saying that depression was very good news, because I grew up in a place, in an environment, and I'm not the only one, where depressed means, oh, poor girl or poor guy, he's gone, he lost his mind, or she's sick, or oh my God, how is she going to come back to, to her reality, to her daily life, or it's not really appreciated. And it was the first time that I heard someone that I felt safe with, and saying, this is a good news. So yeah, it's a blessing. Depression can be a blessing.
Yeah. And so you took that, and hearing that, it almost like gave you permission and empowered you in a way to change and reframe the way that you were looking at your depression.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It gave me permission to reframe and look at my depression in a different way and question my thinking at that moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to share a bit about how you've taken your journey and all the lessons learned, and how you now help others create a life that they love.
Woo! Okay, I'll make it super short. First of all, I was, let's say my experience was that I saw the world from what we call a filter of CPTSD filter, complex post-traumatic syndrome. So I didn't have like an after and before, nada. I always looked at the world as a thread because of the trauma that I received when I was a child. And that I was not aware of it. But, and in addition, the environment in which I grew up, with that patriarchal, oppressive culture, even women were conditioned in a way that they were responding to the expectation of that. So I couldn't blame really these women to treat me in a way that I was a kind of an object, because all the decisions that I would make is to please a man, to marry, to choose a career, to be well married, and also to be well seen in the society, because that's the thing. So all this in the same bag, with two legs, walking through the world, trying to make her own path and making herself happy, just as the heat of the path was climbing up, and then she exploded like a popcorn and she became depressed. And that was for me the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I am the freak. All right. For me, it was a secret. Now it's out there. I am a freak. If you don't love me, don't love me. And if you love me, well, I don't know what it is. So I'm going to figure this out. But it was literally that. Like I had to, there was a phase of rebellion. So at that moment, my first step was actually to understand what was going on in my life and how I could figure out what I could do in my life. So I will pass the phase where, when I was waking up as a depressed person, was like death and life was exactly the same. Really, literally, Chantal, it was exactly the same. I would wake up and I was wondering, would that be the day? Because the taste was so neutral. And at some point after, I had a counselor, of course, a psychoanalyst with me, and she was fantastic. She taught me how to think, actually, and to free myself, to own my dreams. And when I sorry, I'm trying to know. So at some point during those sessions, I started to actually own my dreams, like sharing with her things that are intimate, like anybody would, when we feel safe enough. And I thought, Nada, now that, the canvas is virgin, what would you like to do? And actually, I tapped into my childhood. Like, what did I want to do if money was not a problem? If expectations were not a problem? If your parents and your family is not an obstacle, what did you want to do? And I couldn't answer as an adult because all my identity was built on that. So I had to tap into what was the most innocent, and instinctively I tapped into my childhood. What did I like to do when I was a kid? And there were two things: acting and pastry chef. I loved creating. When I was not bored, I wouldn't say bored, but when I didn't know what to do, I would immediately go to the kitchen and try to create something nice and, sweet, because I like to eat and I like to play. So actually what I did is that I took it seriously, because a part of your mind can tell you, well, come on, you're 33, please take yourself seriously. But I went with it. She was the only one, my little child within me was the only one that I could trust, actually, because she was innocent and she was not waiting anything from anybody. It was just pure life, And I wanted to honor that. I wanted to taste that. So I went for it. And actually, I did both, not at the same time, but they manifested during my life. And I started with acting. And hindsight, I have to say that acting, I took it seriously, was very therapeutic, because it was the actor studio method. And it was very organic. You tap into your own memories. And that was very much healing for me. It's like a somatic experience to let go of the trauma that I had from my childhood that was stuck in my nervous system. So playing it out through a character was really a good way for me to release that energy and accept myself bit by bit, until I discovered that it was not my passion to be an actress in the way that I wanted to make a career out of it, because it was a very difficult industry. And I felt in my heart, when I spoke with my teacher, he said, only if you have to do it. And I always have that voice now in my head, only if you have to do it. Don't kill yourself for anything, only if you have to do it. And well, the answer came, and it was not, I have to be an actress, but I loved the experience. And then I went on. Do you want to know more, or?
I'd love to know, now, have you found what it is that you have to do?
Yeah, I cannot not help, I cannot not be in service, not help, because honestly, it's more for me seen from a point of view of being in service, and being in service suits me very well in listening, in seeing what I'm hearing. And I guess it has developed along the years, and it's something that feels natural to me. And it's something that I want to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's endless to discover oneself. And that's my passion in life. And coaching and mentoring, guiding is what is closest to the journey that I want to have in this life, egotistically, but at the same time, it's also opening up to others, because there's no difference between you and me. We have the same thoughts. We're just not grabbing maybe exactly the same ones, but the pool of thoughts is the same for everybody. So I'm very passionate about that. Very, very much.
That's awesome. I am curious, and I hope it's okay if I ask this.
Yeah.
How, after you used the word rebellion, as you kind of were busting out of the patriarchal society and stuff that you were kind of raised in, how was your relationship with your parents?
Okay. My relationship with my parents was very much kid parents before I got that depression. My father was traveling a lot. He was very busy. He was an engineer in an oil company, and I wasn't seeing him very well. But he had that very authoritative profile. He was quite impressive. So we're very, very afraid of him. We're three. I'm the second, and I have two brothers. And I know that even with my cousins, well, my dad was quite impressive. So when he would come into a room, would just shut up and, do whatever, but be quiet, because only one look meant everything. And of course, my mother is the one who raised us, but I never had like a close relationship with my mother. If I would, I wasn't very close to her as some of my friends are close to their mother. And when I had this depression, my dad had a beautiful reaction, was that I thought that my father would not help me, that my father would reject me after that depression, why I don't want to work anymore, what was my trauma, because I revealed in my trauma that they didn't know of, because I kept that secret since my childhood. So all that arrived at the same time. So yeah, like it was a tough time for everybody. And I was very much surprised that my father would be the one who would like actually support me 1,000%. I thought that my father would not accept me to be an artist. Because my mom said, your dad's never going to accept that you want to be an actress. He's never going to accept that you want to be, a pastry chef or something artistic. I love art. So when I told him that, after that episode, he is the one who made me call the school that I wanted to get in. He made me call that school. And that's a beautiful proof that actually he actually can take me seriously. And I had so many beliefs around my father that were actually not true. I believed that my father was someone else. And I believe that my mother was someone else because she was not the one who was encouraging me at the end. I mean, she was neutral, but she didn't push me. She didn't say, oh, I didn't know, go ahead. Because she was the one who's saying, your dad's never going to want, but I'm going to do something for you. Because I guess some mothers could do that. But I wasn't blessed with this, but I was blessed with the huge amount of love that my dad showed me at that moment where I needed it most. And I was lucky to have that opportunity. And I'm very well aware that not everybody can have that. So, yeah.
It's wonderful that he stood up for you.
Yeah.
Saw you and allowed you to become who you were meant to be.
Yeah. And in this journey, when you have trauma since childhood, you don't know, as I said, you don't know what love is. And you don't know how to love yourself. You don't know what love is, and you don't know how to love yourself. It didn't even exist in my mind, that notion. I thought that loving myself was, having a good job, doing good stuff, enjoying, and I thought it was that, is loving myself was being loved by someone else. This is what loving myself was. I was happy about myself. It was if I was being loved. And after that, I was on the journey of self-love. To be honest, that was the purpose of my journey after the depression. So, yeah.
And so I know with your coaching and everything that you do, you come at it with a very trauma-informed approach. And as an educator, I'm very familiar with how we're bringing in a trauma-informed approach into the classrooms and into the school buildings.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear about how you bring it into your coaching.
It's how do I bring it in my coaching? Very simply. How do you feel? That's the thing. How do you feel right now? Because we have the tendency as trauma, when you went through trauma, I'm not saying not everybody has a different degree of trauma, right? Since you're very well informed about it, but just in case someone who is listening, everybody, I spoke to a professional who said to me, like, officially, 70% of the population is traumatized officially.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So you can double that. You can say that everybody is on a different level, but for sure. Because what is trauma? Trauma is actually a wound. And it's a feeling that, it's a wound that has not, from which a feeling has not been met in a certain moment of time in your life where you needed it. And most of the time, when does that happen? In our childhood. So we don't need to have like abuse stories or to have a trauma. It could be just neglect, like not being heard and being overwhelmed or flooded with gifts when you're a kid, and your parents actually not really listening to your needs. They just want you to shut up, and they flood you with gifts, and that's neglect. And that develops a certain pattern, right? So yeah, trauma informed is, for me, something really important when you approach a client in the job that I do, like as a coach and a mentor, because I have been through that too. I know that the brain is a brilliant machine, but the thing is that, okay, I discovered first step was self-love, spirituality. Like, what am I? Who am I? But that doesn't mean when you discover what self-love is, like, oh, okay, I'm taken care of. Actually, I'm not the doer. Okay, there's something that is beyond me. All right. Second, you discover that, okay, I discovered this, but I still behave in a weird way. Even if I have been kissed by God many times, it has soothed me, of course. And I know that love exists. But some of your patterns are still here, So I had to look closer. And this is why I started with the brain. And this is where we met in this program. So a wonderful machine. And then after that, I still had some patterns going on. So I had to go, I had to go further. And it's not me, it's the events that my nervous system has recognized as a threat and had triggered overwhelming emotions. So I needed to dig in. Plus, I was a coach, so I needed also to, I could avoid it, but it's my job. So I had to accompany myself so I could also serve even more holistically. So am I answering your question? Yeah. So the approach is like, I like to know the story of the person. I'm not going to ask her everything in details, because the mind can come in and we can go on and on around the story. But I recognize that I recognize some patterns, and I often, the body is very important, and it's very important to know what's going on in your body. So doing some, so it's important for my client to be aware of her body sensations and giving her tools actually to soothe her nervous system, because it's been triggered in a state that, it's been triggered because of an event that the perception of the nervous system has identified as a threatening event, because the brain, like the nervous system, don't know what is real and what is not. So it is our self-awareness and it's our responsibility to guide our brain and our nervous system into a soothing place, into a state of peace, of connection, where it can recognize that, okay, this situation is not a threat, we're not going to die, but it requires time, it requires self-love, it requires patience. So yeah, that's important.
Definitely. Yeah. Our brains are beautiful things that are designed to keep us safe, and sometimes it holds us back. And so
yeah. Oh, and also what I learned when I went, I went for myself into trauma work, that's actually the nervous system sends 80% of the data are sent from the nervous system to the brain, and only 20% are saved of the data. All right, because they're connected anyway. Of the data are coming from the brain to the nervous system. That's why the nervous system is very important to get familiar with. So your body, body sensation, being aware of your body sensations, and being aware of that, so that you can make the connection between the work with the brain and the nervous system.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And so for our listeners listening in, what would be like some actionable steps that they could take if they were on this journey and just wanting, they're just working on creating a life that they love. And so they've heard your story and some of the things you've done, but what would be a tip or two for them?
Well, if you're depressed, be depressed. No, I'm kidding. First, get a depression. Second, tap into your childhood. No, I'm kidding.
Well, for me, like my journey started with a divorce. So I'm like, well, first get divorced and then and then life is perfect and wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations. Just kidding.
We're kidding.
Marriage, it can be a beautiful thing when it's healthy and all the things, which mine was not. So I am not a marriage hater. It's just not my thing. It's not been for me.
I got other things, not that one. Me neither. Who knows? But I would say that the first thing is actually to just observe yourself. Like when you're speaking, are you really speaking, or is it someone else's voice is speaking? Your mother, your grandmother, a caregiver, the society. So this is I would say, yeah, start listening to what you are saying. Is it something that you say, or is it something that you have been that is coming from your conditioning? And yeah, that would be the first thing. For me, it was that when I was questioning myself before even the depression, I was like, but it's not me. I'm not speaking that way. And that was the first one. Second one, honesty. Be very honest with yourself, because nobody's going to be as honest as you can be to yourself. And if you really want to get helped, you cannot be, you will be helped to the extent that your honesty is going to be laid out. So honesty is very, very much important, because you're only fooling yourself. That's the second. And the third one would be, make sure that you know what your sense of safety is. It's very important to feel safe, and observe where do you feel safe, with whom do you feel safe. It's really, really important. And if you don't have any places, any places or people with whom you would feel safe, there must be, organizations, or, a psychotherapist, or organizations or groups where you can feel safe. I don't know in which level the person is in her current life, but the sense of safety is primordial. So maybe I said the third, last but not least, but it could be, it's actually the first criteria. Make sure that you feel safe, because when you feel safe, you have a clear mind, at least to think. You're connected, you know what you are saying. So it's very much important.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so true. Yeah. Once we feel safe, I mean, if you look at, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have that basic foundation, if you don't feel safe, like, you can't get anywhere else. You cannot move up that ladder.
Exactly. Safety is the criteria number one. And for sure, if you have a roof, food, then this is good. Now let's look at the second level of safety. People around you, how do they speak, the tone that they use, how careful are they with themselves and with others. I used to observe people, that I would, for example, be starting to know, and I would not immediately, but instinctively, I would observe them, how they behave with others, so that I would know how they are normally, And this is, for example, a way for me to know, are you really just speaking righteously, or do you walk your talk? Yeah, so sense of safety is very, very much important.
So important.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been such an amazing conversation. I could just talk to you all day.
Me too. But apparently it's been a little while.
So is there anything else before we kind of go into how people can connect with you?
No, just enjoy life. Honestly, enjoy life, because it's short. This body is not going to last forever. Your soul knows where it wants to go. So make sure that that you feel safe. Make sure that you're surrounded with people who can listen to you and hear you, because you are here for one reason. And really to enjoy life, honestly, because we're not going to take everything in our grave. We're not going to be there when someone's going to speak about us. So really the most important for me, and that's the realization that I had during my journey, is that this body is not going to last. And this body is a great portal for sensations and to create things that I really want to do. So when I say I feel a yes in my heart. That's the I want to do, right? And we all have it, because we have that child spirit within us, so we can know. And how can you reach me? On Instagram, b_live_coaching. Can I announce something that I started last week? I was talking about safety, how much this is important. And it's and I have started last month, and I'm going to settle this for each month, a circle for women coming from cultural minorities. I don't like say cultural minorities, to be honest, but it's not that minor, because when you look at the world, it's kind of majority, girl. So, but I will say, because that's the way that, the vocabulary has been identifying it. So it's easier. So yeah, each month I'm organizing a circle for women to just express themselves from the heart, because the mind is good to create, but the heart is really where our safety is, our authentic expression is. And as a coach, I feel that this part of coaching, and is very important, that women feel safe first to speak from their heart, where you might not know anybody, but we feel the energy of the oneness. And yeah, this is something that I put on my Instagram bio to subscribe. And I make it, very low, very accessible, because it's not something that I want to charge. I charge my coachings, but this is something that I would like to share with other women.
It's amazing. So, and they can find the link in your IG bio. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to link your Instagram in the show notes. And then you have graciously offered to share an overwhelmed meditation with the audience. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm an anxious person. I have a system that is very, very, very anxious. So I can get overwhelmed very easily. So I need to soothe my system. My body needs to feel that it's okay to feel, that way. But let's go to a place where, breath is settled, and be in the present moment. So this is not new for anybody in the world, but I don't know how many times I had to hear it. So I'm going to be today the one who is going to repeat the one that we hear every single time. And this meditation is about our sense of presence, but also how to observe your mind. Because what I have discovered is that by observing my mind, I recognize that the thoughts have nothing to do with what I am. And these are forms that are projected on the screen of my perception. So this is what the meditation is about. It's just to notice the forms are arising, and then they just unravel naturally without you even touching it, without you even, controlling it. And that's something that has helped me a lot to detach myself from the sense of controlling. Because when we have a battle, we want to control, we want to change, we want to tweak, we want to make it go, come on, disappear, and it's welcoming that go, that impulse. So
awesome. Well, we will definitely get that linked in the show notes as well. So everyone go check out that overwhelmed meditation, so we can use that to connect with our true nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And Nada, I love to ask all my guests if they have any daily non-negotiables.
Oh, I have a non-negotiable. When I wake up, since I know that my mind needs a master. So I like to direct the mind in the morning already, without any other information from the world. So I read a chapter of a book of wisdom or poetry, something that is loving, something that is welcoming, something that grounds my mind towards a day where it has been informed in a way that, okay, we are open, we are creative, we are not what we think we are, and the day is then a surprise.
I love it. Well, it's always such a delight when I get to connect with you or anybody else in our cohort. We're just such an amazing, it's just so fun we started before COVID, and, we've got, I'm in Kansas, you're in Paris, Beryl's in Australia, Sarah and Alex are in Canada. I mean, we're just all over the world. And yet we are such a great support system for each other and such a fun community. So yes, thank you so much for connecting today and sharing your overwhelmed meditation and sharing authentically your story and the tips and strategies that others can use on their journey. Any other things before we close out?
Thank you for having me, Chantal. You're doing an amazing job. I'm always in awe with what you're putting your hands on. And I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate that a lot.
Well, thank you so much. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the Create a Life You Love video podcast. And if you are finding yourself on a transformation journey, I would invite you to check out the free transformation action plan. You click the link that's going to be in the show notes, and you answer a few simple questions, and then you will receive a detailed, personalized results sharing your top 3 things that you can implement to build momentum today. And so all the notes, all the things that we've talked about today will be linked in the show notes. And I wish everybody a very beautiful day and enjoy the journey.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for listening to the Create a Life You Love podcast. I would love to hear from you about your biggest takeaways. Share them with me on Facebook or Instagram at Create a Life You Love Coaching. If you love this podcast, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. That's it for now. Enjoy the journey.